So how many of you are finally waking up and seeing what the real game is? We're about a month into the Trump administration, and people are already saying, hey, wait a minute. Wait a minute. This was great for the campaign trail, but now it's time for the rubber to meet the road. We need more than talk. How many of you are seeing it? Down in the comments section, I'd like to hear it. When did you finally figure it out that what was going on was just a dog and pony show and that nothing real is going to happen? You see, this was a huge thing to go to whoever you go to in the world, I guess Google Maps or whatever, and change the name of the Gulf of Mexico. Does it change anything about the Gulf of Mexico? Then why? What was the point? It makes for a great show. It makes for a great dog and pony show. I even added a few of my own. Why not go the whole 9 yards? Got the Bay of Deportation, the Trump Channel, Maga Straits, Freedom Shores. In fact, why don't we rename the Bermuda Triangle the America Triangle? See, because all of that would make for a great show, wouldn't it? Make for wonderful entertainment. But in reality, what's actually going to happen? Nothing. Now, real quick, those of you, Florida Maquis Patreon channel at the very max level, I know we did part 1 a couple days ago. Over there, we did the joint briefing between the unit commanders, brigade commanders. Brigade commanders, hang on. I got one coming for you. Was going to do a 2-parter, but I found a better topic, something that's going to give you even more tools to use in the fight. If you'd like to join us at the Florida Maquis Patreon channel, we got 4 levels, 2, 5, 10, and 15 a month. Love to have you over there. It's 0 risk, fully refundable, first 90 days, 2 days in, 3 days in, 3 weeks in. If it's not for you, full refund coming right back at you. Love to have you get a discount if you sign up for an entire year. Love to have you over there. God bless all of you who have joined us over there. But let's get right to it. Let's get to go down to the meat of what's really going on. It is no shock to anyone in the United States that D.C., Washington, the District of Criminals, they do not obey laws. And the money that they get from the illegal income taxation that's been going on in this country for years is largely, quote unquote, wasted on nonsense. But there's a difference between wasteful and illegal. Is there not? Wasteful is just an opinion. It might be everybody's opinion, but it doesn't make it illegal. And I have a wonderful, wonderful analogy on this. You see, what they're doing right now is they're giving everybody the gory details of, this study on mice doing this or this study on frogs doing that and all this other stuff and all the millions of dollars. Everybody gets all outraged, and they got to, find out what's the outrage of the day tomorrow going to be. You see, it's just like knowing that your spouse is messing around on you. Do you need to know the gory details? Do you need to know? You're either going to leave her or you're not. You're either going to tolerate it or you're not, but it doesn't matter whether it was once, 100 times. It doesn't matter what the hotel they go to or the why. None of that matters. Now, you ready for this? Sit down. Blast from the past time. Blast from the past. You ready for this? This is America right now. America is conservatives in America. Trump supporters in America. They are Anna Nicole Smith. And the old guy, the billionaire. See, this is Trump and Doge. This is Trump and Musk and Doge. They think by cozying up to a couple of billionaires that their life is going to be fixed. That their life is going to be so much better. That they're going to have things be much easier than they would have been had they continued just to go on their own. And you see, funny story is that Anna Nicole Smith was already much wealthier than I am right now when she met the guy. She had already landed all sorts of different deals and was making her own money, but She said, you know what? Here's this guy. He's got billions and billions of dollars, and at his age, he only wants one thing. Now, 5 minutes in, I want you to really focus on this, because I know a lot of people are already typing, already reacting emotionally to this. I want you to think about this, and guys will for sure get this. Women might not right away, but guys will for sure get this. This billionaire that Anna Nicole Smith was dating, whatever, engaged, married to, whatever it was, he had been a wealthy man his whole life, had he not? Everybody around him, man, woman, friend, family, business associate, they were all in his sphere because he was rich and they wanted to get something from him. Not just her. When you have this kind of money, like this guy had, even his own kids were in it for the money. Even his own kids stayed in his life and stayed in his good graces because they wanted his money. And he knew that. She was no different than anybody else in his sphere, other than the fact that she had something that none of them could give him. A feeling. That's right. There was a feeling he wanted. Last years of his life, he wanted to feel young. Even if it was not real, he wanted to feel that way. He wanted to have the attentions of a pretty, curvy, young girl. Now, you might say he shouldn't want that. Well, at that age in his life, he should be worried about his immortal soul, and he should be focused on the love of his great-grandchildren, all this. Yeah, whatever. Guys, how many of you are interested in listening to the world and people around you tell you what you should want, instead of being interested in what you actually want, what you actually need? And here's the part that proves what I'm saying is true. When he passed, she only wanted, I think it was something like 10 to 15% of Cook Industries. And that would have made her a very, 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 very wealthy woman. She wanted half. She didn't want half of his entire estate. She only wanted 10 to, somewhere it's like 12% or 30%. And his kids and his family litigated it out for decades. This was 94. And litigated it to keep her broke, to keep her in court and spending money on lawyers, and to break her. Because for the last 2 years of the man's life, she made him happy. In a way that he wanted to be happy. Not in the way that they thought he should have wanted to be happy. See, that's how greedy his kids were. That's how greedy everybody around him was. So while everybody took shots at Anna Nicole Smith for this, she was no different than America is right now. You see, America has made what? What has America made? Bunch of bad decisions, haven't we? We're $35 trillion in debt. Is that Mexico's fault? Is that Canada's fault that we're $35 trillion? Is it China's fault that we're $35 trillion in debt? Whose fault is it? Is it Guatemala's fault? Who are we blaming? Who are we blaming for being $35 trillion in debt? It's our fault, isn't it? It's our fault. And now we are looking to, as a country, we're seeking out billionaires to fix our problems for us. Now, I have even a better question. What do you think is going to happen to real estate prices in this country if Donald Trump and Doge decide to deport 20 million illegals and they vacate the properties where they're living, and on top of that, 200,000 government employees all start selling their houses and dumping them on the market? What's going to happen? Are home prices going to go up because there's a bigger supply, or are home prices going to go down because there's a bigger supply? Now, it really kind of depends on how you look at this. If you're looking to buy a home, if you're in an apartment and all of a sudden prices start collapsing, that might seem like it's a good thing. But if you've got 401ks that are wrapped up and invested in real estate prices, that's going to be a problem. That's going to be a problem. And speaking of, by the way, I guess it really depends on how you want to look at it. See, if this is from Donald Trump complaining, might be the first time in his life, by the way, that Donald Trump would complain about real estate prices going up, given that he was a real estate guy for decades and decades and decades. See, it's all sorts of great, fantastic, and wonderful for real estate prices to go up when you're using them as a backstop for a loan, but then when it's time to pay taxes, you want the price to be assessed much, much, much lower, right? So I guess it's all in the timing of when and who you're talking about. Taxes or actual wealth. And funny story on this, by the way, speaking of young, curvaceous, blondie girls, remember we talked about Caroline Levitt, this spokeswoman for Donald Trump and her 31 years older husband and their baby, happy as a clam for him, by the way. Happy as a clam for him. Not saying anything negative about it. He's a real estate guy. Made his money in real estate. He was homeless at one time. And he even admits it. I'll give you this article from Yahoo, from Lifestyle, and about their story about he was homeless. And then finally, somehow got his life together enough that he was able to go to Plymouth State College and then took a course on real estate and then scraped up a bunch of money and bought a property and fixed up the property and flipped it and made some money and then did that over and over and over again. But the college that he went to, this Plymouth State, financed by something called the National Space Grant College and Fellowship Program. More of that wasteful spending from Doge. You see, it's all sorts of a funny thing. When you look at something, you can tell who is saying it without even knowing, based on the content of the quote. I love this one I found. You'll never see a 37-year-old man looking for to hang around on 19-year-old guys, because he sees 37-year-old men see 19-year-old guys as boys. But when they see a 19-year-old girl, of course, then, they'll pursue them as if they are mature enough to be a wife. Now, what's the problem here? Well, you're comparing apples to oranges. Hanging out with a guy as a friend is not the same thing as having a wife. And since when do you need to be mature to be married? The assumption here is that 19-year-old girls aren't mature enough to be married, so therefore they shouldn't even be marrying 19-year-old guys. Right? Because the 19-year-old guys aren't mature enough either. That nobody truly is mature enough to be married until they're 37, according to this poster. Kind of ridiculous, isn't it? Now, how can you tell who would complain about this? Conservative women. Conservative older women would complain about this, unless, of course, they see this. And they love Caroline Levitt. Now, I guarantee it wasn't her maturity level that attracted him to her. And I've shown the pictures, not going to show it again. She's an Nicole Smith-esque type girl. And at 59 years old and her being 27, you see, she provided something to him, he provided something to her. Very transactional. Very transactional, huh? Wasteful transactions, huh? See, this guy clearly doesn't know very much about how economics work. Elon Musk positions Doge to achieve no inflation by next year. $4 billion in daily cuts. But even Trump, I remember him saying this in one of his speeches, and he was right. Zero inflation is bad. Zero inflation is very bad, in fact. When you get into a deflationary cycle, that's when nobody has a job, and it doesn't matter how much eggs are at the grocery store. Nobody has money to buy them at any price. And I'll leave with this as far as the whole feelings things go. It's a different topic, but it shows exactly what's going on with people and ideas about the realities. Breaking: Mexican Senate gives green light for U.S. Special Forces to enter Mexico and take on the cartels, which Trump has designated terrorist organizations. That'll fix their little red wagon. We're going to show a picture of, the new rotor wing, the Osprey, and of course it's night vision. You want to know the real story? Here's the real story. Context. 10, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 Special Forces guys are being permitted to go into Mexico and train Mexican Marines on tactics that they could theoretically possibly use against the cartels if the Mexican military wanted to, but they're not going to because the Mexican military doesn't want to because they're involved with the cartels. But another story for another day. The Post makes it sound like there's an actual Special Forces blanket permission being given for thousands of Rangers to go in, and they're selling you a feeling. They're selling you a feeling. And that's what this is all about. You're being sold a bill of goods. They're telling you the details of your wife cheating on you, and nobody's going to do anything about it. They're giving you the gory details that your wife has been cheating on you for the last 6 years, and we're going to go day by day every time she had lunch with her beau, or, went to this hotel, or, went to his place this time, and all this other nonsense. You don't care. You don't care. Don't need the details. Want to call it the Gulf of America? Fine, call it the Gulf of America. Rename everything. Meaningless. It's meaningless. When you actually look at what's going on, it's just, yes, we understand criminals don't obey laws. See, at least she gave him what he wanted. Not what he should have wanted. Not what his kids thought he should have wanted. Not what his business associates or anybody else that was on the take from the guy wanted. She, at least in this case, was smart enough to know, hey, it's not mine to judge. Yeah, he's 89 years old. And I know what 89-year-old men want. She were speaking figuratively as her here. That she's like, yeah, how did they meet? Nobody forced him to walk into the titty bar she was working at in Houston. Nobody forced him to do that. He was not at a loss of his mental faculties. But to see how it was handled by his greedy, nasty children and heirs after this, when she didn't even ask for half. To see how is the perfect example. It's the perfect analogy for what's going on right now. America, get ready. Get ready, because believe me, the heirs of those billionaires aren't going to be as, accommodating as you think they're going to be. You see, they think that you think you're going to get something. You think you're going to get something. But guess what? You ain't. You ain't. So I would continue to, or perhaps if she had just moved on and decided to, make some better decisions, maybe her life would a little happier. Criminals don't obey laws, and don't think this 4 years is going to change one damn thing. Not one damn thing, because you don't get to be a billionaire. You don't get to be a billionaire by giving a rat's ass about anybody else. You don't. Not 1 billion, not 400 billion. Elon Musk is taking in $8 million a day. $8 million a day in government contracts. Working for NASA. Oh, NASA. Yeah, almost forgot to mention this. Yeah, that space grant program. that Caroline Levitt, her husband, that college he went to, that launched his real estate career, yeah, administered by NASA. So what would happen if there hadn't been NASA back then to get the money to finance the college that got this guy off the streets? I guess we'd probably never hear of all this, would we? See, there's a lot of people out there who are second and third degree recipients of that government money. Didn't think about that, did you? See that government money that's going to this wasteful program, that wasteful program, this other wasteful program? All that money has secondary and tertiary effects on economies. And when you're talking about the amount of money being spoken of here, and you want to throw... Remember, this is another thing I don't understand about the illegals part. Out of one side of Trump supporters' mouth, they're saying, oh, they're earning all these millions and millions of dollars, and they're sending them in over to other... They're sending them back to Mexico in... I forget the word for it now. Remunerations. That's not the right word, but they're supposedly sending all this money back home. Remittances, that's what it was. Because they're earning all this money that Americans should be earning and the money should be staying here. But then out of the other side of their mouth, they're also saying they're living off of welfare. You know, they're living off welfare and they're not working and they're all on the take from, and we need to, get them out of here so that we can save all that money in welfare costs. Which is it? Are they stealing jobs and earning money and sending it back home, or are they just sitting there not earning money and taking money from the government? It's one or the other. But one way or the other, if 20 million illegals leave, there's going to be a lot of landlords out there who are going to be looking for people to rent places. And then you add in the fact that there's going to be a whole lot of real estate going on the market because all of these government employees are no longer going to be getting paychecks, and the money's going to be staying right in Washington, D.C. Mark my words, it's not going to you, American. It's not going to you. It's going to stay right in Washington, D.C. You see, you don't get to be a billionaire by spending money. You don't get to be a billionaire by spending money. So, if you think your life's going to get any better, it's not. Prices are going to go up. Real estate prices are going to crash. Real estate prices are going to crash, and people are going to lose jobs. And there's going to be all sorts of finger pointing to go around. But nobody here is going to be missing any meals. Nobody here is going to be making any sacrifices. I guarantee that. Nobody in the billionaire class. So, anyway, I will leave it there. Join us on Patreon. Love to have you over there. One more video to do. We're at the top level. We'll get that one knocked out. And we're going to start the cycle over again. Do a video, couple, 2-3 videos for the base level for everyone. And then we start moving up the chain. $5 level and up, $10 level and up. Love to have you over there. Trust me. Hundreds of videos never before seen on YouTube. Love to have you. God bless. Pray for each other. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. Lift each other up. Like, share, subscribe. See you guys next time.